Hello, how's everyone doing today? My name is Aditi. I am a master certified life coach, and I'm also the author of The Self Care Habit. And today I am teaching a live class talking all about how to prepare for the new year so you don't burn out. So, just want to make sure everything is working here. Hopefully, you can hear me all right. Looks like my mic's on. My camera's on. All right. So today we're going to be talking about three main things. We're going to be talking about how to prioritize what really matters to you, strategies to protect your time and energy, and ways to create balance in your everyday life. So, I'm going to give you some practical tips today that you can take home with you and really implement it right away. What inspired me to lead this class was that I feel like there is a group of people that get really stressed out when the new year starts because they are just in super go mode. But they just ended the year also being in go mode, and they find themselves feeling like they're behind, already maybe starting to get into the same burnout cycle that they were just in last month. So, I wanted to create this to give you an opportunity to think about January differently. I'm claiming this month to be a month of rest and reflection because I feel like it's really important to have that space in between transitions before you go from one place to another, to really stop and take a moment to think about and see what's working, what's not working, what do you want to create, what do you want to continue doing, what do you want to maybe shift and is not working for you anymore. So, this class is really going to give you some places to start with, and to help you move forward in how you want to set up yourself for success and fulfillment this year. And, I was first hesitating using the word success because I know success can be a word with a lot of connotations and meaning to it for different people. But in my context, when I talk about success, it's really about um, what feels good for you. Success for me is you creating a life of fulfillment, a life that you really feel aligned to, feel grounded in, and feel inspired by, creating a life that you feel inspired by. And I feel really passionate about that because I feel like life is too short. And most of us really just go on and on with work taking over most of our lives and not really having an opportunity to truly live. So let's see. I'm curious if I am able to. Oh, okay. So I actually haven't taught a class in a few months, a handful of months. So, I see that there are some new updates here on YouTube, and I wanted to see if I could be able to share my screen. So let's see if I can share my screen. Nope, it's not letting me share my screen. Okay. Looks like I need to like close it and restart, but I'm not going to do that because that will uh, shut down this class. So, all right. So I'm just going to walk you through some things and we'll go from there. All right. So, like I shared with you, I really want to give you a new perspective because I have had a lot of clients feeling really stressed out, like in the second week of January, feeling like they're already behind and they haven't like done all the things. And I feel like it's just creating a cycle of burnout when you go from go mode to go mode. Like a lot of us were working through December, and to just go hard in January without really having that space to rest and recover can be um, defeating. I know that I felt defeated when I've done that multiple times, just going from one place to another without taking that time in between. So that's what we're going to do for this month with resting and reflecting. So again, we're going to talk about today how to prioritize what really matters, strategies to protect your time and energy, and ways to create balance in your everyday life. So let's start with the first one. So the first one is how to prioritize what really matters. So it's interesting because who decides what really matters, right? I think that this can be a very loaded phrase, because what matters to me might be different to what matters to you. What matters to your friend may be different than what matters to you. What matters to your neighbor, your parents, your family members, your siblings may be different than what matters to you. So the first thing you want to do in how to prioritize what really matters is really deciding what really matters to you. Okay. So really just taking some time to sit and think about that for yourself. And I want you to really try to separate, expectations that people have of you, whether that be at work, at home, in family life, whatever it might be. I want you to separate what you've been conditioned to believe what should matter versus what actually matters to you. Okay? So, you know, some people may think that you should be living your life in a certain way, and you may disagree. Or if you're a people pleaser, like a lot of us, you might end up choosing a path that fulfills other people, or it fulfills an expectation that you believe that you should carry, or that other people have told you that you should carry, right? So this is a really important first part, is really deciding what matters to you. Okay. So really think about that. And I want you to use self-awareness to help you dissect and separate. And it may not be so easy, right? But the more self-reflection work you do, the more that you connect with your heart. Our hearts are very, very intelligent. Okay. Your heart will guide you and tell you in what feels right and what doesn't. So use your heart as an internal navigation system to see what really matters to you versus, is this something I'm just conditioned to believe should matter to me? I should be living this life. I should take these steps. So, for example, I'll give you one where I went to grad school and I got a marketing master's degree. And a lot of people had opinions about it. They were like, oh, well, if I were you, I would buy a house instead. I wouldn't invest in graduate school. Okay. That's what mattered to them, right? And I really battled with it because a lot of people had opinions about my decision to go to grad school. And I remember thinking, like, did I make the wrong decision, et cetera, et cetera. But once I really tuned in, it was just like, this is so highly aligned to my next step and what feels so good in my heart that I'm going to move forward with this. And so I did. And it ended up being one of, honestly, the best decisions of my life. Okay. And then people were like, why aren't you getting an MBA? You should get an MBA because that's more, marketable and creditable. And instead of getting a master's in marketing. And I was just like, I don't want an MBA. I'm not doing my master's degree to get, a job with an MBA. I want to be a master in marketing. Like, I want to have all my classes to be about marketing. I don't want to learn a general business degree. You know what I mean? So I really had to tune in with myself to see what really mattered to me in order to make that decision for myself. So that's just one example. And I'm sure you have examples in your own life where you have felt conflicted with, like, is this the right decision? Should I do it this way? These people are saying this, et cetera, et cetera. So really tuning that new noise out and really tuning inwards to help you decide what really matters to you. And then the other part of it is if you don't decide what your priorities are, life will decide it for you. And I feel like this is so interesting, right? Because life is going to keep lifing. There's always going to be things to do. There's always going to be things on your to-do list. There's always going to be demands. There's always going to be your energy being pulled in so many different directions, right? maybe you're invited here, you're invited there, someone's telling you to do this, someone else is telling you to do something completely different. And if you don't decide what your priorities are, you're going to be pulled in so many directions. And it's going to leave you feeling scattered and ungrounded. And it's not going to allow you to really tune in and create that experience that you want for yourself. And of course, things happen sometimes where life pulls you in a certain direction because it just needs your time and energy at this time. But I'm talking about the things that are not like life critical, right? That are pulling you. It's just everyday things that you're being invited to, you're being pulled to, or whatever it may be. But really focusing on what you feel inspired to, what is your heart leading you to. And then the other part of it is, right, you might have 800 things that you want to prioritize, 800 things that you want to experience. But if you end up not choosing where you want to focus, you're going to end up just doing a little bit in like 18 different areas. It doesn't mean you won't make progress, because you absolutely will make some sort of progress, right? But then you'll just make like incremental progress. And when you make really incremental progress, sometimes it doesn't feel like you've made any progress. So I think it's really valuable to tune into a certain area. And that kind of goes into the next part, is choosing your priority for this year. So first, you're going to decide what really matters to you. Second, you're going to choose your priority for this year. Okay. So how you're going to do that is, like I was saying, right? We might have like so many things we want to do. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to do a brain dump of everything you want to have, create, or experience in this lifetime, if anything were possible. Okay. So we're going to throw out limits out the window, because as soon as we start having like self-sabotaging thoughts or limiting beliefs that, oh, but I don't know if that's possible, I don't know if that's possible, throw that out of the window. We are living in the land of possibility when we're doing this activity. Okay, so allow yourself to do a brain dump of everything you could possibly do. I will challenge you to write down 50 things. Okay, minimum 20. Try to come up with 20 things. I challenge you to come up with 50 things. And the reason I tell you to do that is I really want you to just touch every little part of your heart, of your soul, just like let it all out and let yourself see it, because that's really, really powerful. And it's going to allow you to get a greater landscape of what you're feeling called to, right? And then once you do that brain dump, what you're going to do is then I want you to kind of tune into each of those. And I find it really helpful to actually have it on paper. So what you can do is, when you have them all written down, just putting your finger on each one, maybe closing your eyes even, and just tuning into feeling what that feels like. Okay. And then see if there is a larger pull or nudge towards some of the items more than the others. And then also you might find yourself being able to bucket some of them into one, because they might be the same category. Okay, so try to look at how you can bucket some together as well. And then you can have them under that area. And then I want you to pick the top three. So you're going to pick the top three that you feel the most pull towards, the most calling towards, the most excitement about, the most inspiration about. Pick your top three. Okay. And then after you pick those top three, then I want you to hone in on one. That this is the one that I'm going to focus on first this year. Okay. Now, people get themselves all in a tizzy because they want to focus on all the things. But I promise you, focusing on one thing first is going to give you far greater results. And you're going to feel so good and so accomplished, just like really narrowing in on this one area. I know it's hard, but I want you to just pick one and let that be your focus for this year. Okay. Let that be what guides you for the rest of the year. And if you can't decide, if you can't choose, just pick one. Okay. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. We're not going to overcomplicate things. We're not going to overthink this. Okay. But I will give you some time to kind of self-reflect and see, what feels good, because you may find yourself thinking from a logical place, which sure is important as well, but I want you to also be leading with your heart. Because if you only lead with logic and not your heart, you're likely to not feel fulfilled. So I want you to kind of have both, okay? Not kind of, I want you to have both. Lead with your heart, and then also, the logical part of life, whatever you need to create in this lifetime. Okay. So that's what you're going to do next. So again, decide what you really want, what really matters to you, choose your priority for the year. And then third, what you're going to do is you're going to align your life to match that priority. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to do a scan of your life, and you're going to see, where are you what are you prioritizing right now? Maybe you're prioritizing work because work pays the bills. I need to make sure I do that. Sure. But what else are you prioritizing outside of work? What are you doing in your free time? Okay. And if you're like, I don't know what I'm prioritizing, literally just look at what you're doing every day, and you'll see exactly what you're prioritizing. Okay. And I want you to look at your life in observer mode. And what that means is looking at your life with compassion and no judgment. Okay. I'm going to say that a lot because I know we tend to beat ourselves up a lot, and that is not helpful, not productive, and it doesn't feel good either. Okay. So you're just going to do a scan of your life in observer mode with compassion and no judgment. All right. And then second, you want to notice what you're already prioritizing and what you want to prioritize more of. All right. So that scan will help you kind of see what that looks like. And then third is starting to make those small tweaks in your life to kind of add that current priority into it. Now, whether you're adding an extra thing in your day, and I know some of you are going to be like, well, I don't have any extra time. I totally get it. So how can you mix it in with what you're already doing? And I promise you, there are pockets of time that are unutilized where you're probably scrolling on your phone for 3 hours on TikTok. Hopefully the TikTok ban doesn't actually happen. But you're going to start to see kind of where what you are prioritizing and what you want to prioritize more of. All right. So again, you're going to decide what really matters to you. You're going to choose your priority for the year. And then third, you're going to start to align your life to match that priority. Okay. So I really wanted to make these simple tips so they're digestible. But when you go into putting it into action in your life, it might be a little rocky. Okay. So you're going to start to see some of your own roadblocks and some of the things that are coming up for you. And I'll definitely support you through that process. So if you need help with picking your priority for the year, you kind of want to talk through it with someone. I'm going to have that opportunity where we're going to do a clarity call together. So we can talk through that, okay, to help you get more clarity by just talking it through. I'll coach you through any roadblocks you're having. And then next is now let's talk about strategies to protect your time and energy. Also, while we're live, if anyone has questions, feel free to pop it on the chat box and I will answer it probably towards the end. Okay. And also, if you're having any aha moments or any realizations or just any points really resonate with you, I love to hear it. So feel free to let me know that as well. Or if you're watching this on the replay later, feel free to send me a DM or email too. Okay. All right. So let's talk about strategies to protect your energy. So first, you want to decide where you want to spend your time and energy. And guess what? You already did some of the work in the last one because you're going to use your priority to help you decide where you want to spend your time and energy. Okay? And not only that one priority, but the next layer of it is I want you to think about what you really value. Okay? Think about your values and the experience that you want to have in your life. Okay, so for example, maybe my priority is to work more during a certain busy season, right? Put more hours in, work with more clients, etc. But I also really value spending time with my loved ones. So I'm going to balance that in my time and energy based on my priority, but also my values, which in some ways can also be a priority in the sense, it is a priority for me to spend time with loved ones. But really think about like what those values are for you, and whether you've thought about that before or not, you can use this time now to think about it, because likely year to year your priorities and your values may shift. You might have like a core foundation of the main things that are really important to you, but then later on you might find that things change. So start to kind of just think about what really matters to you and how you want to spend your time and energy, because that's what's going to help you protect your time and energy by first knowing where you want to channel it. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to do a time and energy audit. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to see where you're currently spending your time. So you're going to also, again, you're going to do a scan of your life, of your day to day, and look at it again with compassion and no judgment, and just seeing where are you spending your current time and energy. And it's going to be related to what came up in your scan, probably from your priority scan as well. But this is a little bit more nuanced, where we're really looking at, where is your energy going? Where is your time going? Getting a clearer picture of that. Because when you don't have a clearer picture of where your time and energy is going, then it's just going to go where it's always gone by default, by habit. Wherever you've been putting your time and energy these last 10 years, you're going to keep doing it. So just allow yourself to look at that with compassion, without judgment. I know for me, I have definitely already started to see some of the ways that I'm spending my energy in a way that I don't like and is unproductive. And I'm finding some of those habits from last year that I don't want to continue. So since it's January, I am able to actually take that pause and be like, whoa, we're not taking this into 2025. Redirect, rewind. So I've been able to catch myself now, because I'm like, oh, this is not how I want to spend my energy this year. So, and then that self-awareness can help you kind of redirect it. So like, are you spending your time ruminating and worrying? I think that was one of the things that came up for me last week. I was ruminating and worrying about something, and I was like, whoa, we are not spending our energy here this year as we did last year. Instead, I want to spend my energy in a way that empowers me and helps me create. And my priority is to create this year. And so I was like, all right, well, how can I reel that back and redirect into actually doing something that empowers me instead? So it's really cool when you get to like really know yourself and see yourself on these deep levels. Because sometimes you don't even realize what you're doing. You're like, wow, I've literally been ruminating on this for the last 3 days. What is going on here? Like, it's not that serious. Like, what is happening? So notice how you spend your time, and how is it matching with your priorities, and notice any gaps, because those gaps are going to help you see, what you want to create instead. So you can navigate your time and energy in a way that feels good for you, feels fulfilling for you. Um, and then the third part is to decide boundaries for how you will manage your time and energy. So boundaries is a very, I feel like, loaded word nowadays. But I want you to think about boundaries in this way. I want you to think about boundaries in a way of having external boundaries. These involve other people. And then internal boundaries, which involve just you, yourself, and you. Me, myself, and I. Okay. The concept of internal boundaries has really been a game changer for me. I didn't even know that was a thing, that I could have an internal boundary with myself. So I want to share that with you. Okay. So an external boundary is like, all right, if you email me after 5 p.m., I will not respond. I will respond to you the next workday. Okay. If you email me on my day off, I will respond to you when I'm back in the office. Okay, so that involves a boundary with other people. So, you'll have your boundaries at work, you'll have your boundaries in your home life. So, kind of thinking about what was working for you last year, what maybe do you want to tighten up this year, or maybe create a new boundary, for maybe because it's having you, spend your energy in a way that doesn't feel aligned. Um, and then the internal boundaries. Okay, so so this is on the rumination. I will not tire myself out with rumination for more than 16 minutes, and then I will take one step that will empower me. Now you can decide what that window of time is. Sometimes I let myself ruminate for 3 days, and I'm like, it's okay. Let's just get it out of your system, and then after that, we're going to close this chapter up. We're not going to ruminate about this anymore. We're going to actually take steps to move forward. Okay, so you can decide what that window is. Maybe that window is even like 5 minutes. Okay, it depends like how much you've been in that space and how much you want to what is it called, create that. It depends on what you want to create and how much space you have to spend your energy in that. So remember, you get to decide. Okay, so there's no name calling, there's no blaming, there's no shaming. If you want to ruminate on this situation for a week, go for it. If that's what your heart and soul needs to help you move through the situation. But then I think after a while, in my experience, I've noticed after I've let myself ruminate a lot on things, I don't need to do it as much anymore. I'm like, I've already went through every possible worst case scenario on this planet. And like, I literally don't need to ruminate on it anymore because I've literally already went through all the steps. So then I feel complete with it. And then I actually feel at peace and can move on and just trust that whatever's meant to be will be. And then the third part of it is actually activating your boundaries. So you can decide your boundaries, great, but are you actually activating it? Okay. Are you actually putting it into practice? And that's the hard part. For a lot of people, I won't make a general statement for everyone, but for most people, it's hard, especially for the people pleasers. So, and I find that a lot of people who burn out, which is what this class is about, is usually happens for a lot of people pleasers and a lot of workaholics, and a lot of empaths and highly sensitive people. So that's why you really want to focus on activating. And it's interesting because just as I was teaching, just as I was starting to advertise this class and prepare for it, I was being challenged on my own boundaries. I was like literally seeing in front of my eyes where I am not activating my own boundaries, with my own time and energy. So it really brought me some beautiful awareness to be like, oh, wow, like no wonder you feel so tired and burnt out, because look at what you're doing. You're staying past your limit. You're saying yes, even though you don't want to, because you don't want to disappoint someone. You don't want to upset them. Like literally in these last 24 hours, I've upset 2 people, not on purpose, but it was just because I needed to do something else that was more aligned to me. And they were hoping that I did something else. They wanted me to do what they wanted me to do. You know what I mean? So it was hard. I definitely felt a little hurt because I was like, I don't want to hurt anyone. But at the same time, like, I don't want to hurt myself either, you know? And I'm so glad that I ended up making those 2 decisions because it actually really, really benefited me, really benefited my time and my energy on a major scale. So activating your boundaries is the most important part of it. All right. So I see a few things. coming up in the chat box. So, as you were talking earlier, I realized that I have made my adult kids my main priority. Okay. I'm wanting to make my book my main priority. I love that. Beautiful. So, yeah, again, there's no right or wrong. Everyone has different priorities for different reasons, and also honoring the priorities that you had because it brought you to where you are now. I'm sure giving all that time and attention to your kids has really helped them flourish in ways that maybe you are starting to see. And then also now realizing that you want to work on that book is awesome. Actually, that was my priority as well in 2021 and 22. Like that was literally my only priority. It's like I'm going to do whatever it takes to get this book written and published. I don't care. And the reason I say that is because I tend to like burn out and give up and get overwhelmed so easily. So I had to tell myself I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And it was hard. It was super hard because of my own limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging habits that I had to break through in order to write this book. So I think it's amazing that you want to write a book, and I'm excited for you. What topic would it be on? Do you know already? I spent the last, this is someone else. I spent the last 3 years as a primary caregiver to my mom. Most of my time and energy were there by necessity. Exactly. So that's what I was saying earlier, where sometimes life will choose for you because of a critical event. And then other times life will choose for you in the sense that just because you're getting pulled in multiple directions. But the ones where it's more critical, it feels a little bit less like you have wiggle room. So I totally get that. And this year, I want to focus on my business and friends that I've been missing. I love that. I think that's going to be really heart filling for you. So I'm excited for you to experience that this year. Awesome. All right. So, what's the last part? Okay, so the last part is ways to create balance in everyday life. Okay, so first, you want to understand what balance looks like for you. Okay, so you're going to notice all of these really require a level of self reflection. Okay, so it's not going to be an easy just pull out of a hat situation. I want to really invite you to have a self care date with yourself. Get your journal, get your pen, light a candle, play some nice meditation music, and really go through, all of these steps. And I'm going to leave this class up so you can watch it again and go over that. And I can also send you a basic summary because I know that I wasn't able to show you the slides today. And sometimes seeing the words makes it easy to digest. So if you would like, I can send a summary out to all of you that are here. Okay. So understanding what balance looks like for you. Does it mean having time to do what you love every day? Does it mean having more rest time each week to help balance your work life? Does it mean working more so you can reach your goals, right? Everybody's going to have different things of what balance looks like. And, as I was creating this class, also working on it this morning, I realized one of the things that I didn't realize balance looked like for me was like ease of work. Being able to do my work with ease is an important part of balance for me in the work part of it. And I have actually had a old laptop for the last 9 years. Okay. So you can only imagine, like, it was working pretty well, surprisingly, but it was definitely working slower than like I would like it to be working. And I feel like I couldn't have a lot of tabs open because it would slow down and things would just take like a lot of time to load or whatever it might be. So I just recently got a new laptop, and let me tell you, game changer. Like, what in the world? Like, everything is so fast. I'm able to do so much faster. And I'm just like, bro, like, I was missing out on this so much these last 2 years. I feel like I could feel the pain of it. So, those of you who don't know, I was actually living in Bali for the last 6 months last year, not for the last 6 months, for 6 months last year. And so I took this like old laptop with me to Bali, and I'm just like, dude, if I had this New laptop in Bali, my life would have been so much easier on a work standpoint, because I'm on my computer a lot for work. And so I realized today, wow, for me, balance is having ease of work, having space, having my work life be easier to do, because work is already like, can be, taxing, or, uses your brain a lot. But having that space or ease to be able to do it is life changing. So if you have an old laptop, if you can afford a new one, go get a new one, because I'm telling you, it will change your life. All right. I'm going to just read a few more comments. Shelby, I'm a healer and I would like to share my experiences and things that helped me become healthier and happier. I love it. So, Shelby, when are you teaching your free class? And Arthi, thank you for this. It was very helpful. My priority this year is creating more balance and my health. Beautiful. Grateful to see you. So nice to see you as well. So nice to see all of your names here. Y'all are making me really happy. Um, I realize how much I miss teaching. Like I definitely very much feel in my element when I'm teaching. So it's always nice to be able to have that dialogue. So I really appreciate all your comments. Yeah, faster computer is so vital with business. Yeah, for real. Like, I don't know what rock I was sleeping under, but I think I just was like, oh my God, it's gonna be so expensive. But like when you need to do something and get something done, like you always figure it out. And they have laptops. They have payment plans for laptops. Who knew? So, you can. I feel like that quote, "What's seeking you is seeking you too." So I feel like that's so pertinent. For me, it's needing less clutter. Things got so cluttered in my space. I'm going to spend a mental health day decluttering. Yes. I'm the decluttering queen and I'm all about decluttering. So I am a huge advocate for that because I just feel like it literally gives you immediate relief, immediate benefits. So that's great. All right. So understanding what balance looks like for you. And then second, what you're going to do is, again, you're going to do another audit. You're going to do a balance audit to see where you are feeling balanced versus where you are not feeling balanced. Okay. So obviously one of those where I was not feeling balanced last year, just as I shared, was my laptop and how slow it was working. It was making me feel scattered and behind and overwhelmed and all the things. And I feel so much more like less stress now that I have a fast working computer. It's wild to me how much that can like change your life. I'm like, wow, okay. So after understanding like what balance is for you, do a scan of your life. And again, so you're going to become really good at these audits as you kind of go through this process, to see what feels balanced, what does not feel balanced. Okay, maybe you feel balanced in your meal planning, but not in your living space. For example, like we just talked about decluttering, right? So I personally, I think I've had to talk about this in the next one. Yeah. So after you do this balance audit, then what you want to do is you want to find the low hanging fruit where you can create greater balance. So the decluttering, I personally think that is a low hanging fruit for the most part, right? Like if you had someone, I had a client recently, not recently, but last year, who had a loved one pass away. And so it was really difficult to declutter, even though that was what she really wanted to do. But she just couldn't get herself to um, get in that closet, which that's a whole nother story, right? You're dealing with grief and all kinds of things. So I wouldn't consider that low hanging fruit in that situation. So each situation is going to be different. So think about what is low hanging fruit for you. I have another client who was kind of like, oh, like I really want to wake up earlier. I want to wake up at 7:30 a.m. because I find that I get so much more done when I am up at 7:30 a.m. And I was like, okay, like I'm not a morning person. Okay. If y'all know me, this is why I mean sometimes I'll do a class at 10 a.m., but doing a class at 3 p.m. Eastern was just perfect for me. So for her, she was like, yeah, I love it. And I've already been doing it for the last 2 weeks and it's working really well for me. So for her, that was a low hanging fruit. It was easy for her to get up in the morning and do that. Now, if I try to do that, that is not low hanging fruit for me. That requires so much energy and effort. Like, no, not for me. Okay. So, not a morning person. My long hanging fruit would be something similar to what Eva said on decluttering. So, for example, I feel more centered when I can find what I need in my closet. So, if I can feel more balanced to be able to grab what I need and go, because I tend to feel really stressed out because I'm like, I don't know where anything is. Like, and it's mainly because I'm a digital nomad. So I'm often living like in other places. Like I've created homes in other countries. So right now I'm in Tulum, Mexico. So right now my closet is interesting because there's just not, it's a very limited space. So it's like I don't even know how to organize this so I can like see and get everything I need, but it's already getting better. I got some hangers and I'm going to get some more hangers because at least I can like visibly see like what options I have to wear because nothing is more stressful to me than having an event to go to and like not knowing what to wear and then not knowing where one shirt is or one skirt is. It's torturous for me. So that makes me feel super out of balance. So, doing that closet declutter is a low hanging fruit for me. And if it is for you too, that might be a great one that you can start with. Okay. And then another one is, again, meal prepping. Maybe meal planning stresses you out. So, how can you make this easier for yourself? If that is possibly a low hanging fruit for you, or even if it's not necessary, maybe it's a medium. I don't know what the medium word would be like in terms of intensity. Maybe it's a medium hard, but the amount of relief it gives you is like tenfold. You know what I mean? Like maybe every day stressing about what you eat just takes up so much energy that if you just put all that energy into planning your week for in one day, maybe that just like literally gives you back 50% of the energy of each day back. Like that's huge. So that medium hard is like worth it as well. So again, I know I shared a lot with you today. So my intention was to really keep it super simple. And I still ended up giving you a lot. I'm just like an overgiver when it comes to teaching, but I always want to make sure that it's digestible and that you can actually do something with it. Because the last thing I want to do is be teaching here and you're just like, I don't know what to do. That's all great information and I got great insights, but what do I do now? So I'm going to give you some takeaways, okay, on what to do now. So what you're going to do now, your takeaway is you're going to decide and go ahead and write this down. You're going to go ahead and decide one main priority that you're going to focus on this year. Okay. You're going to decide one boundary that you'll create this year. Actually, let me say that you will activate this year. Okay. Not just create, you're going to activate it. Okay. So decide one boundary you will activate this year. And then the last one is decide one low hanging fruit that you can do to give you greater balance. Okay. If you feel up to it, tell me it now. If you were to just think off the top of your head, like what those three things would be, pop it in the chat box. Let me challenge you to just pick something now. And even if you want to think about it more, you can totally take this week to think about it. But if you were to choose, if you had to choose in this moment, what would you choose? So one main priority to focus on, one boundary you will activate, and then third, one low hanging fruit. What would it be? Tell me. Okay, and while you put that in the chat box, I'm going to read what you have written. I see some chats coming in. And also, I want to invite you to do a clarity call with me. So these are completely free. These are complimentary. I'm giving it to anyone who just wants to get more clarity on what they want to focus on this year. And we're going to talk about, what you came up with. So we can kind of fine tune it a little bit more and see what that looks like for you for this year. So I'll definitely email that link to you, but I'll also pop it in here too. Okay, so you can feel free to, hopefully that link is clickable, but go ahead and check that. All right, so let's see. I totally get the grief part of the decluttering. Oh my God, yeah, that's right. I'm so sorry. That's going to be I'm sending you so much love, Eva. Um, I'll start with my stuff. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So start with the low hanging fruit. I know, like diving into your mother's stuff, especially, um, you know, it's very close to home. So I think starting with your stuff is great. Shelby, I need to organize my house more, then get rid of stuff. There's a bunch of stuff that is for my kids. I want to box it all up for them to go through when they can. I'm laughing because I'm just thinking about my parents too. They're like, take your things. I have been paying a friend to help me with some sort of organizing. Oh, I love that. I feel I think it's so great to hire help because sometimes things can just be so overwhelming for us to do ourselves. I actually hired help to write my book. I hired a developmental editor because I knew that with my limiting beliefs and my self-sabotaging things that I was just not going to write this book if it was up to me. So I literally hired a developmental editor to help me bring this book to life. So I'm all about hiring someone. So that's awesome. And if funds are tight, for anyone else who's also watching this, is kind of like think about what exchanges can you do with people as well. Sometimes people are open to that. I did an exchange with a friend recently where we both needed the thing that the other person had, and we just exchanged it and helped each other out. So that was great. Um, Priority is business. Boundary is no more doom scrolling. I love that. And I would love you to define that more. And if you wanted to hop on the clarity call with me, we can talk about it a little bit more. Is like, what does that really look like? So that's like a great boundary to have. But in order to activate it, we want to think about what that looks like. So I'm sure you're going to want to doom scroll sometimes. So are you giving yourself any allowance, or is it completely cold turkey? So really just defining those parameters. Low hanging fruit, declutter my own stuff, starting with my home office, then moving onto my closet. Amazing. Oh, your home office will feel really good. Yes, I like that. All right, Shelby, priority is my book, boundary is limited TV and social media. So it looks like we're on similar lines on the no doom scrolling. Low hanging fruit, organize my house. Perfect. Business needs more of my time and energy, and I have more of that time now. Beautiful. Love it. So my prayer. So I want to actually. Have you guys picked a word of the year for 2025? That's like something that I also wanted to start talking about, because I feel like it's really powerful, and I think it helps kind of with the priority and kind of setting that intention. So my word of the year is creation. So my priority is to create this year. Well, my priority is something else, specifically, but my actual intention, word of the year, is creation. So um, I am really allowing myself to let that be at the forefront of what I do. So even this class that I was teaching today, there were some things that were pulling me away from it or inviting me to do other things, hang out with friends and et cetera, et cetera. But I was like, this class is really important to me. I want to teach it. I want to be ready. I want to be prepared. And I want to, have a nice layout to teach you all. So it helped me make those decisions to kind of reel my energy back from some of those other things and actually come back and pour my energy into this. So, allowing yourself to do that and knowing what your priorities are will help you make better decisions. Okay. Make more aligned decisions, I'll say. Reintegration. Ooh, I like that. That's your word of the year. Beautiful. I had picked a word of the year, but I forget it. And if you don't feel called to pick a word of the year, I'm not saying you, because you didn't say that, but for other people, that's okay too. Because last year did not. I'm pretty sure last year I did not pick a word of the year. Did I pick a word of the year? I can't remember. But anyway, sometimes life happens and throws you in the wild, and then everything changes. So allow yourself to honor wherever you are this year. If you feel called to pick a word, I say it's amazing because it allows you to really just focus your intention towards something. Okay, cool. If there are other topics you want to learn about, you'd like to hear about, or that I can teach on, feel free to also tell me about that, because I'm going to be teaching free classes throughout the year. So I'm going to plan to do one a month. So just like we did this one today, it's so funny because I was like planning to keep it a 20-minute class because I wanted to keep it short. But I feel like this has just been so juicy, and I hope that you got something valuable out of it, and you can take it home with you. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, I want to invite you to join a 2025 clarity call with me. These are completely free and complimentary. I'm just going to help you kind of get a little bit more clarity on you know, how you want to prepare for this new year and kind of set yourself up for success and fulfillment. Awesome. Yay. So glad to hear that this class went great for you. So, what's your one takeaway for today? I would love to hear that. You can pop it in the chat box. What is your big golden nugget that you got out of today's class? So, I put the link to book your clarity call there in the chat box, but I will also email it out so you will have it too. I also want to know, like, was this digestible enough for you, or was it a lot of information? I always worry about like giving too much information because I tend to do that a lot. And I want to make sure it's like actionable, which I do feel like it is because you guys have already come up with things. So that's great. Shelby would love to hear your word of the year whenever you find it. Everyone's priorities are different and personal, so whatever I have is fine, no judgment. Exactly. And like you may have to remind yourself of that a lot, because I definitely have had to. And it just helps you come back into your authentic self, which I think is really where we feel fulfillment from. Realizing that I have made my kids my priority, and maybe I need to alter how I look at that. Okay. So you got kind of like an aha moment about your own priorities today. Beautiful. Thank you. It was great to see you. I want to focus on balance and, yes, creating more. Grateful to see you and hope you're doing well. Awesome. So nice to see you too. All right, beautiful people. So it was awesome to spend this 50 minutes with you. And I'm really excited to be doing this more often. If you're not already following me on Instagram, you can find me at Aditi Creative. I'm going to be sharing more small bite-sized tips on my Instagram as well. And so happy to see you live again. I'm excited that you're teaching live again. Me too. This has been really fun. Thank you all for being here today. It really helped enliven this experience for me even more. So hope to see you again next time, and hope to see you on a clarity call soon. All right. Take care. Love you all so much, and talk later.